Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online VGC 17 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. We're just going to jump onto the ladder today, and as you have seen, Piplup has taken my spot in the commentator cam. As I have mentioned, I have been sick in the last week, and it resulted in some not so pretty looking, basically, blisters on my mouth, so trying to stay off the webcam just to recover for a little bit, and don't want to gross you guys out too much either. So I know that was some explicit detail, but that's pretty much it. In the meanwhile, still wanted to get battles out, obviously, so we'll see what we can do. We've broken the 600 rating mark, which is pretty cool, but would really like to see if we can make a push for the 17 and eventually 1800s as well. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. As always, please leave a like if you do, and yeah, I'll actually be headed to London for the International Championships later this week, so I'm going to try to pre-record a couple of episodes before I head out, just so that there still is some content while I am gone, and I will do a team report on both this team on Road to Rank and the team that I eventually bring to London. But we've got our first battle of the day against AC, rocking a team of Tapu Koko, Porygon 2, Arachnid, Alolan Marowak, Mudsdale, and Celesteela. So a really strong looking team in general. A bunch of things that stick out to me definitely are the Mudsdale and the Arachnid and Porygon 2. Tapu Koko, Celesteela, Alolan Marowak, those are all Pokemon that you guys have probably seen a fair amount if you've been playing this metagame pretty much at all. So let's see here. Trigger option is still really strong. Of course, Arachnid's ability does mean that Torkoal's damage output against it is a little bit weaker, but I don't know, Torkoal's still not bad here because it still just does a lot of damage. But the Arachnid is kind of concerning, I guess. I think Salamence is also a Pokemon I want to bring. Salamence, however, does have to avoid the Tapu Koko. I don't think Tapu Koko can effectively one-hit KO it, but we'll see. Because it's kind of like a hybrid on my opponent's team, where most of the Pokemon are pretty slow, but Tapu Koko is like one really fast Pokemon that my opponent can take advantage of. But I could just go with my Lilligant Torkoal lead here. And part of me is just contemplating that, because it threatens the Tapu Koko. And otherwise, if he tries to set up Trick Room, then I could maybe take advantage of that. I'm going to want, I think... Do I want Tapu Bulu here? That's actually the question, because I could go with my Double Dragon combination. And come to think about it, I actually really like the Double Dragon combination. I think Porygon 2 is also going to be an issue to deal with here. But the reason why I like the Double Dragon combination is because both of those threaten Celesteela as well. So basically, if my opponent brings Celesteela at all, I'll have 3 different ways to hit it for super effective Fire-type damage through a Fire-type attack. So I can use that to my advantage. The other question is, does my opponent try to set up Trick Room? Porygon 2 is going to be a concern, though. We do see the Tapu Koko Marowak lead come out. Okay. I don't know, I think this is okay here because I can just after you Eruption. I don't think Tapu Koko should be able to survive an Eruption, and he's probably just going to want to protect and go for a Boomerang. But that's okay with me because I know I should be able to survive a Boomerang. And if I can eliminate Tapu Koko, then Salamence has a much easier time. And I guess I could double Protect turn 1 as well, actually. That might be better. Yeah, I'm going to double Protect to scout out for what my opponent does, actually. Because it's likely Tapu Koko might protect here. It could also switch out, but no switch outs. Other interesting thing, when you have Tapu Koko out next to Alolan Marowak, you obviously can't use any electric type attacks. So my opponent's got to keep that into consideration. Other than Discharge, that's the one attack you can use. So that does change things up a little bit. Now the question is whether he is going to go for a Discharge next turn, or whether yep, Boomerang does come out. I also can't just Sleep Powder Marowak because of the terrain. So here I'm going to do After Your Eruption. So After Your Eruption actually would have worked out last turn. I don't know if maybe he's Focus Sashed, or maybe he just predicted me to double Protect. But we might see a Protect come out from Tapu Koko this turn. Or a Switch Out. If he does decide to just attack, I think Torkoal can just knock it out. But this is definitely still a pretty scary duo. Because I also don't have Tapu Bulu to change the terrain. So After You is just going off here. And no Protect. Okay. Let's see if an Eruption can just pick up the knockdown Tapu Koko, because that would be so huge for my dragons in the back. Nice! Yep, picks up the one-hit KO, my opponent not protecting or switching out. And Marowak also goes for a Flare Blitz, doesn't even go for a Boomerang, but I've got the Focus Sash, so I will be able to survive that with Torkoal. Oh, excuse me, he targets down Torkoal. I meant to say survive it with the Lilligant, but okay, that's interesting. But I don't mind that, we take those. So, let's see what's coming in. It is going to be Porygon 2, and that's okay with me as well. Let's see if it gets a special attack increase, though. Yep, as it does. Okay. So I've got Drampa. I've got Salamence in the back, but I'm going to want to chip Porygon 2 enough to the point where I can pick up a knockout. Now, he can't just go for something like a Protect. I think I'm actually just going to After You Heat Wave here, because Marowak's basically stuck in a pretty tough position, because here, I either outspeed it with After You and I just pick up the knockout, or he goes for a Protect. And I guess the best play is actually to just go for a Protect and a Tri-Attack onto Torkoal. Like, I think that's my opponent's best option. We do see Marowak go for Protect, okay. So, let's see how much I can do with this After You. Oh, I guess After You doesn't even work because, like, Torkoal's outspeeding Porygon because Porygon is going for the Trick Room here, yeah. Okay, that works for me. Because Torkoal should underspeed, aka outspeed everything. And I'm actually going to switch to Drompa for some offensive positioning now, and I'm just going to go for an Eruption. I care more about knocking out Marowak right now. So, this is still okay, but Porygon 2, like I said, I originally addressed it as a concern, and that's still the case, especially with the cover. I don't have ways to really hit it for super effective damage. And I should have maybe, you know, had a way to really deal with Porygon 2 a little bit better when I built this team. But, yeah, I'm going for the Eruption because we saw how much damage the Marowak originally took from the initial Eruption, so I think another one should be able to pick up the knockout, hopefully. And I'm switching out Lilligant because, you know, I'm actually waiting for Electric Terrain to run out, so eventually I can maybe just put Porygon 2 to sleep. That'd be really good. But Lilligant is going to switch out. That means that he's not switching out since Lilligant is the slowest Pokemon right now under Trick Room. Drompa's coming in, and that's going to put on some more offensive presence. Marowak actually goes for the double Protect and gets it. That's somewhat concerning here. I am going to get the Eruption off, but we are probably going to see a Tri-Attack come out onto that slot, onto the Thunderbolt actually, but he Thunderbolted into himself. Yeah, that doesn't quite work, man. So Thunderbolt instead of a Tri-Attack or an Ice Beam, you'd have to assume that was targeting Torkoal. That might actually even still pick up the knockout, but this is pretty great because now I can just Draco the Marowak or Porygon and go for an Eruption. So that's something that a lot of players forget, that you can't use electric type attacks when you have your own Marowak out. And I am just going to get this Draco Meteor off because Drompa does underslow both of these Pokemon, or outspeed it basically under Trick Room. That's really good because I knew Porygon was a really big threat, but now I can just pick up the knockout onto it. I'm not as concerned about this Marowak, even if it somehow survives the Eruption. Maybe it will be able to. Nope, not even the case. Perfect. So, yeah, my opponent's setting up Trick Room, basically helping me out more than helping my opponent out, and that's part of the reason why I love using you know, Torkoal so much on this team, because it's like, oh, I lead Lilligant Torkoal, so not very many teams can counter, I just get a lot of damage off, and it's going to be Celesteal in the back, which is also pretty perfect to see, because I've, you know, got so much anti-Celesteal attack on this team, basically. I am gonna, I'm gonna pull some switches here, just because I want the Sun back up. So I'm gonna switch out into Mence, and I'm gonna switch out into Lilligant. We've still got a couple turns of Trick Room here. But yeah, my opponent's gonna forfeit, so not gonna bother. I think, in this scenario, like, it makes sense, because there's pretty much nothing you can really do, but Celesteal is one of those Pokemon where it's like, it actually could, like, 3v1 or even 4v1 against teams that don't have ways to hit it for super effective, so I don't like playing against Celesteal. I think it's a major threat in this metagame, which is why this team is pretty anti-Celesteal with multiple Fire-type attacks, but that game went really well, I would say, and I, you know, could have played out very differently depending on the plays my opponent made. For example, if my opponent just, you know, went for a Protect with Tapu Koko or switched out instead of just letting me pick up the knockout immediately with it, then things could have played out really differently. But instead, I just got the one-hit KO, and, you know, Lola Marowak took so much damage, and then my opponent set up Trick Room for me, so no complaints there. But our second opponent of the day is going to be rocking a pretty offensive-looking team as well, definitely on the faster side for the most part, with Salzo, Garchomp, Gyarados, Tapu Lele, Pheromosa, and Alola Marowak. So, definitely scary-looking team in general. I actually am not sure whether Salzo has Fake Out pre-Pokebank. That's one of the things I remember people saying, like, maybe it doesn't get, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I will probably double check on that, and I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments. But, you know, it is, of course, a super fast Fire Poison type. Not very good offensively, but, yeah, sorry, I should say defensively. Offensively, it does definitely put on some pressure immediately. But for this game, I think I might just want to go with the Torkoal route, where I just set up Trick Room and Erupt away. So Pheromosa is a pretty major concern, though, actually. I'm going to lead Salamence, and this is where I do think, you know, Citrus Berry might be better. I'm going to lead Salamence Rangoon to get that initial Intimidate off, because my opponent's team is relatively physically based. And for the last one, it's either between Jump or Tapu Bulu, but I'm leaning towards Tapu Bulu given that there is a Tapu Lele on my opponent's team. So if I can get Trick Room up, this match will be a lot easier. But setting up Trick Room might be difficult. Not impossible, but it's definitely going to be a challenge here. So let's see. A lot of it comes down to lead matchups, as you would anticipate. It's going to be Salamence and Oranguru coming in. My opponent is going to be bringing in Salzo and Tapu Lele. Okay. So even if he did have Fake Out, Tapu Lele blocks it basically because of Psychic Surge. So I don't mind seeing this. I might sack Salamence, because I'm definitely Trick Rooming here. Yeah, I think my play here is to go actually straight for I don't want to risk missing. And he's probably stashed anyway, so I'm going to Dragon Pulse, Salzo, and Trick Room. So the idea here is I hope he just knocks out my Salamence, so I get the free switch into Torkoal. Oh, he does have Fake Out, but doesn't get it off. Although, wait, this Oranguru is Inner Focus, I believe, too. And he actually doesn't even knock me out there, wow. I would have preferred the knockout. I didn't want to switch into Torkoal in case he Psychic that slot. But yeah, Fake Out doesn't work, of course, because Psychic Terrain is up. He's not even stashed, so I just pick up the one-hit knockout, and I get up Trick Room. So, today's episode seems like players, not fully knowing what their team, does, and that's, you do have to remind yourself of what your terrain, kind of, the extra effects that your terrains have. Gotta remind yourself of Lightning Rod if you're using Alolan Marowak, etc. So, Marowak is gonna be able to come in for my opponent now, which is okay. Because that does allow me to just Dragon Pulse, and I do want to sacrifice my Salamence here. And I'm just going to protect here. Because maybe I should have Psychicked, actually, because I just realized, like, I can't just safely Instruct, because Alolan Marowak is probably going to be, it's going to outspeed me. So he's going to Shadow Bone into Salamence, which is fine. But I think I should have attacked there with Oranguru. Yeah, because Dazzling Gleam doesn't do that much damage, and now it's a little bit more awkward. But I suppose I could go for Heat Wave instead of Eruption, because I know I should be able to survive a Boomerang. Alternatively, I could protect Psychic, but that wastes a turn of Trick Room. Or I could Heat Wave Psychic, but I want a Heat Wave here because 2 Heat Wave should hopefully knock out Tapu Lele. So I'm going to Instruct and Heat Wave here. And Torkoal is really defensively bulky. No Protect coming out. Okay, from either Pokemon. That's good. Yeah, Heat Wave does bring Lele under 50%. He actually has Earthquake instead of Boomerang. I should be able to survive that with Torkoal then. Yeah, perfect. He actually knocks his own Tapu Lele out, so this is going to be a single target Heat Wave going on to the Alolan Marowak slot now. So hopefully I don't miss here. Earthquake's still a good option, I think. It makes sense on teams over Boomerang. But yeah, I don't miss my Heat Wave here, which is great. So that's a single target Heat Wave. Almost picks up the knockout, but another one will finish the job. So it's weird that, like, Torkoal can beat a Alolan Marowak, but that's the nice thing of Torkoal being, defensively structured. And Pheromosa is my opponent's last Pokemon. That's pretty good to see as well. Awesome. How many turns of Trick Room do we have left? 2 turns, which is also perfect to see, because he's going to have to basically get double Protect. So, yep, this is, actually, I could just, no, I don't know if I'll knock him out here. I'll just Heat Wave Instruct. Like, I do risk the chance of missing, but by getting another one off, like, it's not too bad. And he doesn't even bother protecting with either Pokemon. So, that's also perfect. Yep, picks up the knockout onto Marowak. Pheromosa is going to be stashed. That's not too much of a surprise. And I'll be able to actually get the burn there as well, but that obviously not mattering. And so the game will end after this turn. But it looks like because this episode's pretty quick, I do have enough time for a 3rd game again, which is pretty exciting. So, yep, Torkoal's just going to get another Heat Wave off. And that's going to be a knockout. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, my opponents in this episode, like, there were definitely some suboptimal plays that they made, for example, in the first game. And I think, this is really tricky because it is a new format, a new metagame, and a lot of new strategies, and, like, abilities and terrains that we're not used to. So I know I've made that blunder so many times while practicing and playing online. So, it's not anyone's fault, and I think that's the really tricky thing about playing competitive, especially when a new game and especially this year more than ever. Like, I always forget about what my terrains do. I always forget what about other terrains do. And so it's so easy to just, like, use priority or in psychic terrain or try to put something to sleep under electric terrain that's grounded. Excuse me. But, yeah, it's a good learning process, right? And that's why we learn from these games. So, I I think, as always, I like to evaluate the games and look at what I could do better, what my opponents could do better, and I think if there's anything, you just have to remember, and this is to everyone, right? You have to remember the additional abilities, like using electric type attack next to your Marowak. Although that play could have been explained, I guess, if my opponent was expecting me to pick up the knockout there, but the thing is, he did go for the double protect. So it's like, if you do get the double protect off, then you're not going to get anything off that turn other than your Marowak surviving the turn, basically. But the second game, yeah, like fake out, and I actually forgot, but I do have inner focus on Oranguru, so that also would have made a difference, like even if you were able to get that fake out off. But yep, gonna play a third game today because we do have enough time for one. Arthur here is running a team of Tapu Lele, Tapu Koko, Tapu Fini, so triple Tapu team. Garchomp, Celesteela, and the Kartana. Okay, so very offensive looking team in general. I'm leaning towards just going Torkoal right from the start. And I kind of like that. Now, one of the scary things is if Celesteela has Wide Guard, because my Torkoal is just spread moves. So maybe I want to go with the Trick Room option instead. And Kartana is what really scares me, though. And then it's like, I have 2 Dragon types, and he's got 3 Fairy types. Lele being the most offensive one, but Koko and Fini obviously do have Fairy type attacks as well. Kind of funny, though. We have all 4 Tapus here represented between the 2 of us. I think, yeah, I don't know. I could still go with the Trick Room option, but I'm honestly leaning towards Lil Gint, Torkoal here. Tapu Fini is actually what scares me the most. I'm gonna go Salamence, and I need Tapu Bulu here to counteract the terrains of my opponent, and because Tapu Fini is actually very offensive against Pokemon like Lele and Fini especially. But it does mean that my Tapu is probably gonna be the slowest here because I didn't bring the Trick Room option. So I am kind of relying on that. That could be a problem, and I'm thinking maybe I still should have gone with the Oranguru Trick Room route, but we'll see in this game. So gonna go with Lilligant and Torkoal just to set up the sun immediately, put on some offensive pressure. It's gonna be Tapu Koko and Garchomp coming out. Okay. So the discharge kind of combination is definitely possible. I could just after you Eruption. Obviously he can't just Earthquake unless he's got an Air Balloon, which he does not. I could also Hidden Power Ice Protect. That's what I'm leaning towards. Yeah. I'm gonna HP Ice Protect here. Hopefully HPS will put it in Eruption KO range, and then next turn I can after you Eruption. The only way there are 2 things that can be bad here though. If my opponent protects Garchomp, and if my opponent doubles up into low again and picks up a knockout. Or if Discharge comes out and paralyzes me. So, that does sound like a lot of different things that can go wrong. But, that's the thing about first turn sometimes. But, I don't know, Lilligant Torkoal's a really fun lead, really strong, but, wow, we actually see the Garchomp switch out. Maybe into Tapu Fini. Yep, gonna be Tapu Fini coming in. Then the question is, did he go for a Protect? Fini here is a kind of concern, though. Ooh, Psychic Seed? Or, sorry, Misty Seed. He did Protect with Tapu Koko. Okay, so that was a really good play by my opponent. And there wasn't very much he could have lost out there, honestly. So, Torkoal's protecting. Logan's gonna go for a Hidden Power. This will do approximately 0 damage. Yep, less than 0. Not actually, but... very good play by my opponent. Very good play. So, we know 3 of the 4 Pokemon now. The question is, do I want to switch Torkoal out? Sun is still out. So I could still just after you Eruption, trying to catch the Koko or whatever comes in off guard. He could switch back out into Garchomp, but if that is the case, then I can hit him Power Ice next turn. So I am still going to after you Eruption here, because he did protect with Tapu Koko last turn, so this means that I get a free Eruption. Basically into that slot. The Fini slot is so defensive that I'm not going to be able to do very much damage, but I do have the Tapu Bulu in the back to deal with the Tapu Fini. And Torkoal's base special defense stat, not that great, but Sun does reduce the basically super effectiveness, and Koko does switch out, so I'm thinking maybe Garchomp's coming back in. Yep, so another good play by my opponent, but that's okay. Now it has taken a damage, and it will be in Hidden Power Ice KO range. And that will allow me to switch my Torkoal out next turn. So Eruption here, not going to do too much damage to either of these 2 Pokemon, but a little better, more than I anticipated actually. He actually goes for an Ice Beam here with Tapu... Oh, wow, into Torkoal. Definitely expecting a switch out there. Probably into Tapu Bulu. Or Salamence, but I'm glad I did not switch out there. So now there are actually two options, right? Because Garchomp could just go for a Protect. So what I could actually do is go for a Sleep Powder into Tapu Fini, and of course the Fairy Terrain is up. So if I Sleep Powder into Tapu Fini and switch out into Tapu Bulu, I will get it off, but then that's a 75% chance risk. The other question is whether he expects me to switch out again, and I think he probably will. I could just go for like an After Eruption as well. Not the biggest fan of that though. So I think I actually will do this play. I will Sleep Powder the Tapu Fini, and I will switch out into Tapu Bulu, which should be able to take an Ice Beam. So this prediction is mainly off me thinking like Garchomp is going to Protect here. But even if it doesn't, he can't do too much to these two Pokemon. Unless he has Poison Jab, of course. So with Grassy Surge up, I can now start Sleep Powdering again. I do miss the Sleep Powder there. He goes for a Rock Slide. Okay. Does an okay amount. And he does launch a Hydro Pump this time around. Okay, so that's at least reassuring. So it wasn't the worst turn there. Because I can just hit him Power Ice the Garchomp, but I did miscall the prediction thinking Garchomp would Protect. But the reason why I was fine with that though is because I know Garchomp can't do too much offensively right now. And yeah, I've still got HP Ice threatening it, so Tapu Bulu is in okay position. So I'm just gonna hit him Power Ice that slot. And I think I'm actually going to double up onto it. Now Garchomp of course very well easily could Protect. But I'm thinking Garchomp might switch out into Tapu... Oh, it's actually Tapu Fini switching out into Tapu Koko. Okay. Now, if he doesn't Protect Garchomp, I think I'm just going to win the game outright here, but I think he should Protect here. Let's see. No, he doesn't Protect, unless Hidden Power doesn't knock it out, which also could be the case. Yeah, just miss out on the knockout. And he actually does have Poison Jab. Yeah, so, that's bad. But I'm actually able to survive. Gonna get this Wood Hammer off. So I went for the Wood Hammer there because I thought he might have switched into Tapu Bulu. The Rough Skin will knock me out. So that's kind of bad now because I needed Tapu Bulu. But, yeah, you know, Hidden Power Ice isn't really a guaranteed knockout onto Garchomp there. And he was actually able to survive. I think if I pick up that knockout, then I win the game. Because then the Wood Hammer goes out into the Tapu Bulu spot. But it's not the end of the world yet. However, it does mean that dealing with Tapu Fini is going to be very difficult, and I should have considered that a little bit better. Poison Jab was a relatively obvious option that he could have had, so I could have just protected that turn. Probably a damage roll there, and it's a little bit unfortunate, but I could have also tried to prevent it a little bit better. So Misty Surge is going to come back up, which means I can't put Pokemon to sleep, which is also pretty bad. And with my last one being... Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to Eruption here. With my last Pokemon being Salamence, like I cannot hit Fini for very much damage, and he is gonna smartly enough protect with Koko. So good play there. Double protect actually, just wasting out the sun. I think. I believe this should be the last turn. Oh, that's so unfortunate last turn though, because if I do pick up the knockout, that's basically a free double knockout onto both Garchomp and onto Tapu Koko. But what can you do? Yep, Sunlight fades here. Also a concern. I think I've lost this one, given like he's got two fairies. And I lost Tapu Bulu. Like, I should have just conserved Tapu Bulu better. I should have assumed, like, oh, I might get a low damage roll here. Or he could just be super, super defensive with Garchomp. So, with that, what can I do? Koko's gonna be faster now. I suppose I could switch Torkoal out. He's been fishing for Ice Beam. Well, he was fishing earlier. I can't even Sleep Powder. Yeah, I'm gonna at least try to get the sun back up. But I think I've lost this one. Well played by my opponent. And Tapu Fini putting in some work here just with this bulk. That definitely gave me a lot of trouble. So Intimidate, not going to do anything. Also, just not that great against these two Pokemon. Oh, Brave Bird! Wow, I actually was not anticipating that, so never mind. Looks like it is maybe a physical Tapu Koko. Actually doesn't even knock out Lilligant. That's hilarious. I wonder if he actually... If it is physical, then maybe it's still not over? I don't know. He Moonblast... Did he Moonblast into Torkoal? Nope. Moonblast into Salamence. Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, he did Moonblast the right slot. Great prediction there. Okay. What do I do now? How many turns of terrain are there left? 3. That's bad. I suppose I could protect and switch out though to get the sun back up, and then I can after you eruption to outspeed Tapu Koko. Like, I can maybe win this game off if terrain runs out and I can sleep powder Tapu Fini. But that last turn also made it difficult because my opponent made a great read and Moonblasted that slot. Although Ice Beam actually just would have picked up the knockout. But, Protect coming through. Oh, a Z move coming in. That's probably onto the poor Torkoal slot. Oh boy, which one is this? I think that's the electric one, I want to say. Yeah. Gigavolt Havoc coming out. That's, yeah. Probably targeting the Salmon slot. Which is no bueno. That's probably a knockout. Oh, wow, not even close, actually. And Ice Beam goes into Protect. Okay. Yeah, now the thing is, however, all my opponent has to do is Ice Beam into Lilligant. And I can't stop that. Let's see. 2 more turns of Misty Terrain. So I win this off. The other question is whether he protects Tapu Koko. Yeah, I don't want to go for double protects. So I'm gonna after you Heat Wave here. But he might. I have to hope he doesn't. Okay, he does protect Tapu Koko. Yeah, I was hoping he might have predicted me to switch out. So he would have just gone for an electric type attack. And I did contemplate switching out, so then I'd still have Lilligant, and then I could maybe start putting stuff to sleep. Unless he Hydro Pumps the Torkoal here for some reason. Or we get a burn. No burn. Yeah, it's a nice thing coming out. Oh, yeah, I really wish I picked up the HP Ice damage onto Garchomp, like the knockout there, because this game would have played out very differently. But like I said, I could have played a little bit more optimally there too. And I should have expected Poison Jab. Okay, so Salamence comes back in. If I could somehow pick up a knockout here onto Fini. No, I don't think I can. I wonder if I can get any poison type attacks on Salamence. Yeah, I'll just Fire Blast. Maybe hope for a crit burn or something and Heat Wave. It's probably a game here. Like, I knew the multiple Tapus on my opponent's team was a pretty bad problem right from the start. And I just lost Bulu too freely. And he is physical, so he's going for a wild charge. Could survive that, maybe? Yeah, I do survive that. That's kind of funny. I do hit the Fire Blast. That's under the sun. Wow, that actually does a lot. He goes for Hydro Pump onto Torkoal, and I double hit with Heat Wave. So somehow I could still win this game depending on my opponent's last Pokemon. Wow. Okay. So yeah, because he's physical Tapu Koko, as the mist disappears from the terrain as well. And I've still got Sun up, so it's gonna come down to my opponent's last Pokemon. Now, I'm not max speed Mence. I'm modest. It's Kartana. If he's not Sashed, I actually win this game. Oh, like, he could have Rock Slide as well. If he learns Rock Slide, I don't even know what that Pokemon gets fully. But I'm just going to Heat Wave. I mean, Fire Blast and Heat Wave here, yeah. He's going for Night Slash, okay. Onto Salamence. So I didn't protect with Torkoal there because, like, you should probably target down Mence. It's gonna get a Beast Boost. Let's see. Is he Sashed? I do hit the Heat Wave. Is it Sashed? Is it Sashed? It's gotta be Sashed. Can we burn? That would be clutch. Oh, no burn. Okay, so unless I can somehow survive a +1 Kartana attack. Maybe I could, actually. Alright, let's go for it. Hidden Power. He's just Night Slashing. That's not stab boosted. It is +1. No way. We actually win. Wow. I was not expecting that in the slightest. But yeah, my opponent... By him, I did get lucky because he did miss the Hydro Pump. And I think that's what he was hoping for. If he hits the Hydro Pump, he knows that he has the game in the end with Kartana. So I did have to get a little bit fortunate there. So I suppose that makes up for the fact HPIs didn't knock out Garchomp, but that might not even have been me getting lucky, so, you know, had some fortunate RNG there in the end, but, wow, shocking that I was able to pick up that knockout there. And it also could have been a damage roll onto Solomon's as well, so I, you know, definitely got more fortunate in this game, but, wow. What an incredible way to end the third game. I 100% was not expecting that to happen, and we actually managed to pick up 3 wins in today's episode. Full 30-minute episode for you guys, but a really, really fun one. That last game really coming down to the wire, but, you know, that goes to show, even if you feel like you're losing the game, even if you've given up all hope, which I honestly kind of did, you should still play it out because you could win, and sometimes if some RNG rolls in your favor, then things could actually play out differently. So, Torkoal managing to survive against that Kartana there in the end, very, very clutch, and we are able to pick up 3 wins in today's episode. So, hope you guys enjoyed this one, a really fun one. As always, leave a like if you did, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, peace.